Hi everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of Writers Infusion. I'm your host, Susan. I'm here with Ed, Julie, Dave, and Ray. And we have a short story submitted today called Remembering Brook, written by someone named Emma from Massachusetts. So hi Emma, thanks for submitting. Julie's going to read.
Remembering Brook. I practically flew out of her driveway. I could not get out of there fast enough. I heard the crunch of the gravel under my wheels and the ping as stones struck the car's undercarriage. I could not stand to see her lying there like that. The weather was awful. The roads were coated with ice and untreated. What had compelled me to drive such a distance in such abysmal conditions? She had a hold on me that I could not explain. She called and I went, but I shouldn't have tonight. I hadn't checked the directions as I sped away. I should have programmed my GPS. I just wanted to get home. I should have called John. JT would be sound asleep at this hour. Suddenly, I thought of that Robert Frost poem, Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, and in a particular line, it says, "And miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." I had to put some distance between her and me. They'd discover her eventually. I pressed the heel of my right hand against my right eye to wipe away the tears that were starting, and dislodged a contact lens in the process. I fumbled to retrieve it, and fortunately found it stuck to my lower eyelash. I quickly popped it back in my eye. The heater in the car was on the fritz again. I had to get it fixed. I'd tell John in the morning. In the meantime, I had to keep driving in the freezing cold, dark night. I fiddled with the controls and repositioned the vents. I raised one balled fist and then the other to my mouth and blew warm breath on each. I could not get warm fast enough. I felt a chill run down my spine that I knew was deeper than the lack of heat in my car. For a split second, I took both hands off the wheel just to rub them together. Suddenly, the car was spinning out of control, but it seemed as if I were moving in slow motion. I saw trees, then highway, then a gray blur of sky, then trees and road again. It was like a picture in a zoetrope. That salad spinner-like contraption that JT and I had just experimented with at the Science Museum last Saturday. We had drawn a stick figure standing on the ground, and then a half-inch above the bottom of the paper, and so on, until his head was touching the top of the page, so that when it was inserted in the zoetrope and spun quickly, it looked as if he were jumping. I instinctively peered into the back seat to see that JT was okay, but of course he wasn't there. I turned back to look through the windshield, and my head hit the steering wheel. I saw stars, and then nothingness. I must have blacked out, because when I came to, I was staring through the windshield, trying to make sense of this fuzzy blob that finally came into focus and turned out to be an evergreen in the distance. I shook my head to clear the haze, and slowly I started to make out my surroundings. I gently pressed my right foot on the gas pedal. I applied slight pressure, nothing. Another light pump. No movement. Finally, out of desperation, I gunned the engine. The car roared back to life and shot forward. I heard a crunch, quite dissimilar to the sound of stones on the driveway back there. There was something under my tires. It murmured softly over the howling of the wind. I rolled over the body. I listened to its gurgles. I smiled. I felt a sigh of relief. The car had stopped. And then I felt sick to my stomach. What had I done? How much damage had I caused? I could not get out and look. The back end of the car was wedged against the edge of dense woods. The car was facing the road, and I would need to drive over the body again in order to continue driving home. I propelled myself forward. I urged myself to just get to the road and I'd be fine. I willed myself not to look back. I tried desperately to face forward and drive away, but my conscience got the better of me, and I darted a glance over my right shoulder at the sign on the metal post. Remembering Brook, it said, longest natural body of water in Nauset County.
Yeah.
I thought Brook was a girl.
This one has me shrugging a lot.
Okay.
How many people
here's
just
what-
stared at the last line thinking,
What?
I think I get it, but
Too
Well,
contrived.
I wrote,
too contrived.
I'm not sure what to think about this story. Perhaps the fault, I mean, it could be me, and that I don't understand what you're trying to tell me, Emma. What harm would it be for me to know what the gender is of the person that you're writing about? And I don't know whether this is somebody trying to escape from a bad relationship, from a crime that they've committed, and then where does the body come from?
Yeah.
You know,
Just seems, I mean, ending a story with a pun doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, my questions start with the title, Remembering Brook. I mean, the first time I read it, it was like, I interpret it as, I am remembering a person named Brook.
Yes.
Right.
Okay? But another way to look at it is that there is a Brook that is something to do with remembering.
yeah.
And so, I had questions from the
Oh, well, that's
beginning.
the only way that you could explain some of the really odd things that are in here, like the Robert Frost poem.
Get rid of that.
I know
Yeah,
everyone knows
well, see,
that,
if it
right?
was a
Yeah.
remembering thing that was causing you to remember stuff, then having like these odd things coming to the person's mind might make a certain amount of sense, but it's not
Talk about-
presented well here.
Talk about leaving things out. She's spinning out of control, and we get 5 lines
Oh,
about
yeah.
her visiting
The
the Science
zoetrope.
Museum.
It was just-
Kind of breaks the mood.
Oh, it totally
Yes.
destroys the tension. When you're trying to do an action sequence, you want
Yeah.
to keep the sentences short. You want to move things forward.
And don't backflash.
Yeah,
Like, unless it's for 1
well,
second.
sometimes you can do a very effective backflash, but that's kind of
No,
more
have to
advanced.
no,
minimize
three
the words.
Now,
pages.
see,
Yeah.
I gave it a Julie Check Plus because it was a zoetrope. How many more times do you get
But
an
the thing-
obscure reference like that?
The thing is, though, you have someone who is just
I love it, zoetrope.
Okay, you can give it a check plus, but
Remembering
then you have to
Zoe.
remove it.
Remembering
Put it
zoetrope.
somewhere else.
because you're going forward, this car's spinning out of control.
Yes.
And then when you think of the Science Museum, first of all, you're not rushing through the Science Museum.
No.
So all of a sudden you've
You're
calmed
following
down.
lots of loud
That's
children.
That's right. And now you've calmed down, but the car's still spinning out of control.
Mm-hmm.
The one main comment I made a bunch, but was that if you did want to do something with pretending the river's a body, and that the person's sad because of it, then the person has to have a sad life. But they're thinking back to a happy time at the museum. Their
Exactly.
husband's fine. The
heater's
kids,
on the fridge.
The kid's fine. Right. I mean,
You
there's
know, all
nothing
these
so
mundane
sad that
things.
this person is
He spun out and ended up okay.
right.
Yeah.
that's-
Yes.
I
maybe they should-
I
It's
have
very remarkable.
a personal gripe. Anytime something starts out with I know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to follow this person ad nauseum. Now, what I did was I circled the
I did that
eyes.
too. I
Ah.
really-
Circle
I just did it on
eyes.
one
Yeah.
page.
The eyes have it.
I started.
24 eyes on the first page.
Wow.
For a total of 55 in 3 pages. How many total words are there? This is a third of the story. I did this, and I did
Yes.
that, and I did that. Now, it may be true that everything this person did was necessary, but the sentence structure
Yeah.
is so tedious,
Yes.
so
Other ways too.
repetitive.
It's always the
I
same.
did this, and I did that, and I did, well, break it up, join things together, make them interesting,
Yeah.
make each sentence magnificent.
Go back and watch
Also-
Conjunction Junction.
What's your function?
One thing, we start with I, we have no idea who this
Schoolhouse
person
Rock
is.
for those youngins who don't know.
And then, could not stand to see her lying
Yes.
there like that.
Yes.
We don't know who her is.
Right.
And
Brooke.
John,
No, what's that?
we don't know who John is. And JT, we don't know
And
who
that
JT
could have been
is.
Yes.
handled with like
So we have
4
3
words.
paragraphs.
Well, it should be
and 4
elaborated
people
then.
who we
She
have no
should
idea who these people are.
Well, she could have said, my husband, John,
Yes.
Right.
or
Yes,
the
right.
baby, JT.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're
Oh,
going
but
to
I
give,
think
if
she
you're going to have a
referred-
kid, give him a kid name. Call him Timmy or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
not
that's
JT.
true. So we know
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
away.
That
Yeah.
sounds like somebody from Dukes of Hazzard or something.
And then something else too on the second page when she cleared the haze and slowly I started to make up my surroundings. We didn't get any detail on what the
Yeah,
surroundings were.
and if she had
Right.
had talked about the surroundings, the stuff where she's stuck would have made sense.
Right.
And if
Yes.
she'd said that she could see the creek water and it was bubbling around the tires,
That's when it
that
makes sense
would have
to slow
helped.
down.
Okay?
Right?
Yeah, and, but then we don't get any of that, so it just kind of falls flat.
Yes. Well, I like the confusion of Brooke because I assumed from the title and the start that Brooke was a friend. And I thought it was kind of clever, but maybe too contrived at the end. Yet, I want to know, why is Brooke lying, or why is so-and-so, we don't know her name, lying there? Lying like that, maybe
Right.
not
Maybe
lying
that's what made you
there.
move
In their
forward.
street
Maybe
bed.
she's verbally lying, maybe she's not lying. And they'll find out, they'll find her, they'll discover her, maybe she's a sneak.
You're
Maybe
willing to
she,
stretch a lot.
I'm willing to stretch.
Yes, you're gonna stretch and put something sensible.
I want
It's
to
like
make
waking
sense
from a
of
dream and making
this.
sense out of it.
I do. I have hope. I'm Pollyanna, Dave. You know
You-
that. Now I have a criticism though because the gurgling. I like the image of I rolled over the body. I mean, maybe she should work on that part and cut out the start of it. But a body of water, if it's icy, if the roads are icy, would not be gurgling.
It'd
So
be
here we have a
crunching.
problem. It'd be crunching. So maybe
Exactly.
gurgling with a
was
rainstorm,
crunching.
gurgling with warmer weather.
Right.
But that
Well,
struck me.
And 9 eyes in that one sentence.
And lots of eyes in that sentence.
Yeah.
The eyes are watching. And no dialogue, and is that all right? It could work. Some stories
Yeah,
work with
some-
absolutely no dialogue,
That's
but I
not a
did notice the
complaint.
lack of dialogue. That's
Yeah,
all.
but-
Dave, that's not a complaint
No,
from Dave,
but
that's
no
awesome.
complaint.
I have to say one
Yes.
thing. I've read this before, but for someone who wore contacts for several years,
Yes.
you usually just can't pop them back into your eye.
I
No.
know.
I know people do that, but I have no idea how.
Well, that it should never have been in the story in the first place. That's
Well, do you
just
know
one of
what
those
I
things
said?
that should have been cut out.
It should be contact lenses or the fiddling with the heater, but it shouldn't be the two. I think the heater might make better sense.
The
She
heater
takes
can-
her eye off the road.
The heater can make sense because
Oh, the
it's a
exterior.
way to introduce the cold and,
Yes,
and
yes,
that
yes.
there's something sinister, except that we don't really get any sinister. We get
We need more
a
sinister.
very Pollyanna kind of image.
Huh.
To become concrete. If you
Concrete,
took-
it's ice.
Very concrete, on the second page near the bottom.
It's asphalt. Yes.
I don't understand what happened with the car.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I gently press my right foot on the gas pedal. Okay.
Oh, I
Then
think
she
she's
repeats
stuck.
it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I
Redundant.
applied slight pressure. She
Same
already
thing.
said that.
Yes.
Nothing. Another light pump.
Yes.
No movement. Now, is the car stalled or is it
Right.
stuck?
Well, I think it
Is
is.
it
Then-
spinning?
No, no,
Spinning
no,
the wheels.
no.
Go
Don't
ahead.
add to it.
Go ahead.
It's got to say it.
No, I understand, but I think
Finally, out of
she's building
desperation, I
tension.
gun the engine.
Yes.
Well, if the engine's not moving, nothing. She applied
Yeah.
slight pressure and nothing. So the engine's dead. Then she guns the engine
And it roars
somehow.
back to life.
And it's like magical. I don't know how
Right.
that
Well,
happened.
and here I'm
And
a
then the
girl.
car
Go ahead.
roared back to life and shot forward.
I don't know, the engine's dead, I think the
It's
wheels
like
are stuck somehow.
No,
Maybe there's
Okay,
exactly
but you're giving her stuff
I
that she
am-
didn't
I'm
put
give
in,
her.
and clarity is what is important in writing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know
Does
what?
it-
I think the tires should have rolled back into the river
Oh.
with the whole car.
That's right.
Oh,
Take her
God,
with it
you're
in the
wicked.
story.
Well,
Wow.
actually, I mean, talking about this section, it
Sorry,
says
Emma.
that the car shot forward. And then the next thing that happens is the back end of the car was wedged against the edge of dense wood.
Yeah.
How could that happen if the car had shot forward?
She may
There
not
should
be
nothing
a
in
long
back
driver.
of it.
Just making- yeah.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
not driving
It
long.
must have
this
spun
girl.
around or something.
Yeah, like a zoetrope.
Now, see, if this was one of Joe's stories, it would have made sense.
Oh,
somehow.
it does. You know what I had trouble with? The last paragraph, I propelled myself, I urged myself,
Oh, yeah.
I willed myself, I tried desperately, I thought that was too much.
Except
That's
that,
building
well,
like
but
the pumping of the
not
gas.
just that, but she can't. She's not trying to will herself to move. She's trying to get the car to move.
Second page. Oh, I have a smaller pen.
What's,
Yes,
She's
what's this
yes.
story about?
Brooke. I think, Emma, that
It's
you
just
had.
the whole thing. The
I
whole
think
thing
Emma-
is a joke. It's a
pun.
it's a pun. The whole.
I think she imagined the end and builds toward it, and sometimes it's great to write toward an end, and sometimes it's great to sketch out the whole story beforehand,
Yeah.
says
I
Pollyanna.
think if it's going to be like that, like a pun, then the whole thing should have that feel to
the
it.
punny feel to it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
Yes.
this
Well,
I'm
it's interesting
sorry, but
because
this
the-
it doesn't work the way that it is.
Right. I mean, the tone is interesting because I get a sense of tension all the way through, but by the time we get to the end, I'm like, huh?
What?
The tension wasn't.
Yes.
I mean, I
Well,
would,
then there's room for improvement.
yeah,
Yes.
I would take another shot at this.
There's always.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't see a story here at all. I'm sorry. I just.
Yeah.
It's one of those stories that beginning writers write and then say, ah, good exercise. Now let's get on to the next story. You know, it's good that you work, you put something down, wrote something, submitted it to somebody, and that's a good experience. Practice makes perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, and
Practice
nothing,
makes
no
perfect.
writing goes, is
Uncriticized.
well, it's all useful in learning.
Yeah.
So.
Did Twain say that?
I don't think so.
I don't think
No,
so.
I don't
All right,
think
does
Well, I
anyone
liked-
else, does anyone
I'm
else have
sorry.
anything to add?
Well, if I could give her a little praise, the poor girl.
Yes.
I feel that the blowing on the hands, the keeping things warm, I like the description of that.
Yes,
real.
that's good.
If all of the imagery had been that nice and concrete and
Yes.
precise, it would have improved
Well,
a
that's
lot.
good to know.
So-
All right.
Right.
Good.
Okay, well, Emma, thank you.
Yes.
We'd like you to try another
To
one.
trust us and send it after all of
Send
this.
another one.
Yeah.
After the curmudgeons have attacked you.
And thank you everyone else for joining us. We hope you learned a lot, and have a good day.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, now what would
I
an
like the
agent say
title.
about
I'm
that?
sorry, what would
Oh,
you
man.
To reject, what would an agent say?
We aren't accepting
Oh.
things
They
like
wouldn't
this
even
at this
get
time.
past-
Yeah.
right,
Thank
right.
you for your interest in
Thank
our
you.
magazine.
Yeah, please feel free to.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, apply
Yeah.
again.
I need a
Yeah.
kindling for
Right.
my
Yeah.
fire wheels.
Yes,
Yeah.
that might be a good one.
Yeah, don't waste the ink.
Yeah.
Don't waste your ink. That's a great T-shirt. Don't waste the ink. Ray, make
Take
a
it to a
T-shirt.
writer's conference.
Don't waste your ink.
I like that.
Don't waste the ink.
Inky
I can
Dinky
make- I can
Who
make
said
some
Inky
others
Dinky
for you.
Doo?
Don't waste
Who
the
said that?
toner.
Yeah.